seems Christmas has come early for football fans here in Victoria, with the formal announcement that all NPL fixtures, both men and women's, have been announced by Football Victoria for the 2023 NPL season. Now, on top of this also gives us a few extra details to what we're going to expect to see in 2023 with the expansion from 8 teams to 11, as we see the addition of Preston Lions, Boroondara Eagles and the returning Southern United into the top flight of state football. Now this all kicks off mid-March, the first game being Friday the 17th, with our opening round 1 fixture being good old Derby against the Burgers at home. So, while we're all saying to digest the bulk of the fixtures, we'll give you our immediate thoughts about what to expect, what we'd like to see come next season. So, as we just mentioned, we will be hosting Heidelberg in our round 1 fixture. That will be on Saturday the 18th of March. That is also a 4:30 afternoon kickoff. Hopefully, it will remain nice and sunny throughout that afternoon derby. Whereas round 2, we'll see our first away fixture against FV Emerging up at Knox. Shouldn't be too much really we can say about that. It's just a game against FB, it's going up at Knox, normally it's a bit of a small crowd. But normally we do have an enjoyable match against FB. In regards to results of the past couple of years, there's certainly been good contests for us. So hopefully there'll be very much one game beyond a slightly less competitive nature in terms of not being, of course, an immediate derby. That we get to see a nice firm contest for our senior women. As round 3, we'll see us have our first of 2 buys for 2023, given that there will be 11 teams in the league as opposed to 8 as we had this year in 2022. This means our third game of the year won't be until round 4, where we'll be at Knox for what will be technically a home fixture against FC Bulleen, being on April the 8th, for a nice firm Easter clash. Otherwise, the following weekend we are back at Lakeside. We'll be hosting Bayside United, which should be a nice easy win for the team. This will also see a run of home fixtures due to basic logistics coming out into the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. So of course, our fixture list will be a bit of a mess, with plenty of blobbing. It does mean that there's a nice big bulk of home games that the whole club can hopefully get up and around the team, support them through. So for round 6, we'll be hosting Box Hill United. That will be our second of 2 home games up at Knox. Otherwise, we'll be back at Lakeside for round 7, where we host our main. Round 8, we'll see the often dreaded derby against the Preston Lions, which will be at Lakeside from 1:30 on the 7th of May for a big match there. As the following weekend, an equally massive fixture will see us take on Calder at home. We'll then see Southern also at home, with the last of our bulk home fixtures being a Sunday fixture against the promoted Boroondara Eagles. Round 12 will see us across at the Olympic Village taking on Burgers, which will be our first fully away game, regardless of how you look at ground location for our home matches since, well, at least will be since March. Certainly, we'll put a fair few things into perspective there. Otherwise, round 13, we'll have emerging at home at Lakeside, which brings us nice and comfortably to round 14 by number 2. Round 15 will see us on the road all the way through to round 22. So just quick fire fixtures. We'll have Bulleen, Bayside, Box Hill, Alameda, Preston again, Calder, Southern United and Boroondara Eagles. And that is that. Not a great deal to say. Of course, perhaps the biggest mysteries coming into this season will of course be, one, how will these fixture groupings affect the team, given that we've effectively had our season split in half. First half at home, second half away. Again, due to the logistics tied to the World Cup, which of course we are quite lucky, quite fortunate to be able to have such high-class facilities to be able to host, or let's take part in hosting the world's most prestigious women's tournament. Of course, that does mean things aren't as simple as say going home, away, home, away. Not next year. Otherwise, the second biggest question, of course, is probably on every WNPL football fan's mind is how will the 3 promoted sides perform within the NPL? Of course, both Preston and Boroondara are not quite as familiar in the history of the WNPL, at least in that period of top flight women's football here in Melbourne. They both had very, very dominant seasons in the second division this year. Whereas Southern, we do certainly have a clue, given they were a bit of a struggling franchise during their time in the NPL. So of course that means they've still got far more to prove than the likes of Preston and Boroondara do. But at the same time, like any pro team, you are finding to prove that you do belong there. And so all 3 of those sides certainly throw in some very, very interesting questions as the season progresses. Hopefully, aside from the obvious, we'll be able to prove their worth and give the league a serious degree of competition, given that it was perhaps a bit lethargic last year. Otherwise, of course, we have the likes, say, Calder, who are coming into this year, particularly with their deep association with Western United. How much is that going to impact them coming into 2023, given how much of their squad is part of that A-League setup? First few games perhaps be a bit hit and miss for them, but surely you're expecting them to be in peak form and truly the danger side for the season. But it's also not unlike we aren't getting ready, we're not prepared for next season at South. Of course, we've already seen a number of signings, which has included returning players, likes of Keisha Sardu, Kat Goff, Caitlin Pickett, already confirmed their place in the squad for next year. We're seeing players return to the club, like Bessie Michael. And we've also seen new faces coming to the club, like one of our original signings for next year. Indeed, very first. It's Danielle Wise. So of course, we're not going to be without firepower, and we do have a strong squad building up already. And of course, George and the team are doing a completely fantastic job. And they're certainly looking to carry on into next year with their run of form they had towards the end of last year, given that they were forced to crack on from not the easiest positions, but certainly I did as well as they could. At least for this stage, that's pretty much all the real big questions, all the real big talking points so far for 2023. And while we're certain there'll be more announcements come through December and into January, the real questions should be getting asked come pre-season, and hopefully we'll have the right answers for them. With question number one, of course, being, are we prepared to be back in a truly competitive position that a club like South Melbourne not only expects, but demands? So far, we're quietly confident, but we certainly hope not to be quiet come 2023. So, until then, have a very Merry Christmas, enjoy your summer break, and we'll catch you all in March. Come on, Hellas.